Hey everybody, how's it going? This is a French Frye in Paris coming at you with episode number 23 of my live video tour series. I'm keeping it nice and quiet at the moment because I'm in a nice tranquil space here called the Galerie Colbert. And we're going to get started soon here. And as soon as I get a few live viewers, there we go. Heather Jackson is the first to arrive. Hello Heather, it's nice to hear from you. Kelly Wells, hello. So I called this episode number 23, The Passages and Pleasures of the Second Arrondissement. I'll explain in a little bit why I love the Second Arrondissement and why this district is so fun. But we're starting out with a covered passage here called the Galerie Colbert. And let me just give you a look here of this stunning space. If you haven't found this yet in Paris, you definitely got to seek it out. This is one of the grand covered passages. It dates back to 1826, which was really the heyday of these spaces. And these were commercial spaces. This one, not so much nowadays, but this was literally a prototype of the shopping mall that we know today. And the covered passages were all about these beautiful skylights. Hi Trish, hi Missy Lamb. So glad to have you here. It's not so quiet here anymore. We've got some more visitors, but look at this. It's stunning, these lights that are sort of an art deco vibe. And then this statue in the center that actually came from the Palais Royal nearby. A mythological lady getting bitten by a snake on her ankle, if you can make that out. Just stunning. I mean, feels like a gallery. But it was originally a shopping center, one of the great covered passages. So that commotion we hear is actually another tour group, so we're going to steer clear of them. Hello, Joanne. Deborah. Ken Romero, thank you. Yes, Ken says welcome back. This is my first video back after my paternity leave. Our second daughter was born almost 2 weeks ago. And so I'm trying to get back into the swing of things. So glad I have over 100 of you so far. And as long as my cell signal holds up here in the Galerie Colbert, I want to show you something else. So we're going to be very discreet here. To our right is a great restaurant called Le Grand Colbert. Turn of the century. It's got an Art Nouveau and Art Deco vibe to it. Look at the floors. These floors were done by the same guy who did the nearby Galerie Vivienne. Beautiful, those are all mosaics, just stunning. For film fans, this was a location for the movie Something's Gotta Give with Diane Keaton and Jack Nicholson. And you can see both of them playing out the final scenes of the movie here at Le Grand Colbert. Look at that. Ooh. And if you're just joining us, Le Grand Colbert is called that because it's in this passage called the Galerie Colbert. As I practice my walking backward tour guide skills. Hello, Laura West. Hello, Deborah. So I'll show you a couple of cover passages today. Those of you who know me already know that I'm a full-time tour guide and I specialize in tours like the covered passages. So if any of you want to see these in person with me and go through, I'm happy to do that. This is an old painting, if you can make it out, of a minister called Colbert. So in the 17th century, he was famously sort of a right-hand man of Louis XIV. This is no longer a commercial space anymore. This is owned by the Bibliothèque Nationale nearby, and it's also used as classrooms for some of the universities nearby. So imagine being a student in modern-day Paris and using this space as your classroom. So, yeah, part of my usual covered passages tour in the Second Arrondissement. Hello, Sue-Ann Hum. It's great to have you here. We're going to leave the Galerie Colbert. Merci, monsieur. Bonne journée. Okay, so Second Arrondissement, we're in the beating heart of it. Down that way is an equestrian statue of Louis XIV. We're not headed that way today. Across the street here. So why do I like the Second Arrondissement so much? This is a district out of the 20 that Paris has that is actually not really flashy. It doesn't have really any major monuments or museums. So you don't see as many tourists. You see locals in their natural habitat doing their thing. This is the north end of the Palais Royal, by the way. And we already walked through the Palais Royal in a previous video. But it's worth a hello, isn't it? Real quick, before we move on. The Palais Royal is always worth a visit. Hello, Bill from Detroit. Thanks for joining. Heather Jackson's asking what that noise is. I don't know. Someone on a bicycle was riding around just now and blowing into some little plastic thingy. Making some noise. Just a quick look at what's going on at the Palais Royal today. It's a warm and slightly humid day today. A bit of a threat of rain, but so far none. So here you can really see some local activity playing out. Here we go. There's some good Paris meditation for you on a Saturday evening. So yeah, we won't dwell too much here at the Palais Royal because I already talked about this and already took you through here in a previous episode. But again, it's the arcades, it's the gardens, it's the cafes. It's the great history of the French Revolution kicking off here. One of these cafes is where the angry mob that would eventually storm the Bastille, where they got all riled up. It happened right here at the Palais Royal. But back on track. Marilyn Gallup says Paris at its best. I'd have to agree with you there, Marilyn. I'm lucky enough that I get to see Paris at its best over and over and over in many different ways. Taylor Swift video filmed down here for any of you fans of hers called Begin Again. I think she's kind of chasing one of her, like a cute looking boy down the street or something. I admit I haven't studied that video, but it was filmed here. I recognized it when I saw it. Major construction going on here to the right. This is the Bibliothèque Nationale that I referenced earlier, the National Library built in the 17th century. So there's a lot of work going on, an extensive project that's been lasting years and years. Across from this doorway here, we're on the Rue des Petits Champs, is a place, a wine bar, that's kind of fun, called Willie's Wine Bar. And you can see from the facade and the signage that they're not too snobby here, they're not too pretentious about wine. So it is a good spot, especially if you're an English speaker, they're very friendly to that. And to just give you a quick glimpse, bonjour. So it's kind of after hours now, but just to give you an idea. Pretty cute guy behind the bar. Bonjour, ça va?
Is it for YouTube?
It's on Facebook, live. Live right now. Hello. And there's another room there for drinking there?
Yeah, it's
also?
dinner.
It's for dinner.
Yeah.
Is it empty?
Yeah, it's empty.
Can I show it?
Yeah, sure.
Thank you.
Go.
So here's a space for dinner. So, if you're intimidated by wine, if you don't really know what the heck to do when someone hands you a wine list, you can come here to Willie's and they'll take care of you. Nothing too pretentious, as I said. Merci beaucoup. Au revoir. Kathy says she knows this place. Great, Kathy.
So cool.
My mom's chiming in saying she must go there. Yeah, I think you're right, Mom. We'll put it on our list. Our list of the many, many wine spots that we'll hit up while you're in town. Sometimes in the downtime, I like to sing little ditties to myself. Okay, we're gonna head up this way. There's a rather nice little park that's tucked away here to the west of the Galerie Colbert. So I want to show that to you. Now, the title of this episode, number 23, If you can see it there on Facebook, I called it the passages and pleasures of the second arrondissement. And a little bit later, there's an address related to a pleasure of a certain kind. I won't go any further, but this was a hotbed of a certain type of tradition in the 19th century involving some ladies doing their thing, if you know what I mean. So we're going to get to that, but not quite. Hi, Joyce from Seattle. It's nice to hear from you. While I've got an option, by the way, this whole building here is the National Library, Bibliothèque Nationale. It's absolutely stunning inside, but it's not very easy to get inside of the libraries. I don't know if those of you who have visited Paris have experience with that, but they're pretty closed off. You know, you got to have a local library card and be a sort of a member, so to speak, be a student who's coming to study. They don't smile upon too many tourists going in and snapping photos and making videos, so we're not even going to try to get in there today. So here's that park that I want to show you. That's what this district is great for, finding rather hidden things that you wouldn't normally think of seeing. This is called, let me see if I can find the name for you right now. There's always a sign that tells you what the park is. The Square Louvois, 1859, not too shabby. Full of kids, parents, and families today. And the highlight of this park, the Square Louvois, is the fountain here. This fountain was designed by the same guy who designed the tomb of Napoleon Bonaparte at Les Invalides. His name was Visconti. He also designed the beautiful fountain in front of Saint-Sulpice, if you're familiar with that one. So this Visconti guy knew what he was doing in the mid-1800s. Those women that you see up there, some of them are clad, some of them are scantily clad. They actually represent, they're allegories that represent the major rivers of France. So if you can make it out, actually I'm allowed to walk on the grass here, so let's get a little bit closer. If you can make it out at the bottom of that one on the right, it says La Seine, which of course is our river. And then next to her is La Saône. La Saône is the river of Lyon. And then on this far side, if I'm not mistaken, it's La Garonne. No, that's the La Loire from the Loire Valley, and on the other side is La Garonne from Bordeaux, that runs through Bordeaux. So let's just have a moment here to enjoy the park. I don't want to get caught filming these little kids. That's not something I want to have a reputation for in this area. At our daycare, actually, where our daughter goes, there's a very strict rule against parents photographing at all in the daycare. Because even if you're trying to photograph your own kid, they don't want you to accidentally snap someone else's. There's a nice illuminated side of the fountain. Okay, so that's the Square Louvois. Speaking of kids, every now and then there's a very somber reminder of the Nazi occupation. And I know that I tend to touch upon it from time to time in these videos and during my tours as well. So tucked away here on the western side of the park says arrested by the Vichy government, which was a French government, a collaborating government, sorry. Arrested by them and the Nazi occupant, more than 11,000 children were deported from France and ended up at Auschwitz, and we know what happened afterward. So what it does is actually list, I mean, it's pretty moving, it lists all the children in this neighborhood that were taken. Many of them so young, 2 years old, 1 year old, didn't even have time for school, to go to school. So yeah, it's crazy to tell that story in the same breath that I'm talking about my own daughter going to daycare. So it's pretty powerful stuff here, and thank goodness they put these plaques here. The idea is to forgive but never forget. One last look at the park before we go. With La Bibliothèque Nationale in the background. That's quite a nice composition right there. Hello, Kevin from Brooklyn, New York. I spent many, many years in Brooklyn, Kevin. Hope you're enjoying it over there. To be honest, I don't even recognize Brooklyn anymore when I go back. It's changed quite a bit. I'm sure you would agree. Thanks, David, for the congratulations. I assume the congratulations, David, is for having fathered a child and not for having lived in Brooklyn. Missy Lamb. Superfan Missy Lamb liked that last composition, I'm glad. Okay, so we're on a street called the Rue Chabanais. And unless you live in this area or you're eating in this area, there aren't too many reasons to come down here. Of course, I guess you could be working here too. But look at number 12. I want to show you this building. It's very unassuming. Number 12, Rue Chabanais. And I'm just going to pan up here. Today it's an office building. And it used to be actually one of the premier maisons closes of Paris. Now, I know we've got families watching here and kids, so I'm going to keep this nice and family friendly. So, you know, obviously in the 1800s there were houses where men could come in and spend time with women. And this was called Le Chabanais, named after the name of the street here. And number 12, all sorts of partying was going on up here. And they had rooms, decorated rooms, and it was famous for that. You could go and play, so to speak, with the clientele in a medieval room, Versailles room. There was a Japanese room, an Indian room, and on and on and on, right? A Pompeii-themed room, and of course the girls that you would spend time with here would be costumed up, and dressed accordingly, depending on which room. Now, do you remember a while ago in a previous episode, I showed you a beautiful horse statue, or an equestrian statue of Edward VII. It's part of a square in the 9th arrondissement. Well, they called him Dirty Birdie, and this was the place that he liked to frequent. And he had, and I told this story earlier in that episode, he had a beautiful red copper bathtub imported and installed here and filled with champagne every time he stopped by and wanted to spend time with the ladies. Champagne-filled bathtub. This was the place. It was dignitaries, it was politicians, it was dukes, and it really was all above board. Crazy times. So number 12 right there, you wouldn't know it at all, but you know what the one hint is of what the history used to be of this building? Even when you go into work, there are actually two elevators, one for going up and one for going down. And originally that was designed so that the customers wouldn't have to see each other when they were going up or coming down to leave the building. So that's really the only leftover of this building that would give you a hint as to what they used to do there. By the way, I just got to point it out. I noticed the other day that there's a massage parlor right there. So I'm not making any assumptions, but a little bit funny that there's a massage parlor, if you know what I mean, just down the street from that former playground, shall we say? Okay, I think I kept that family friendly. So that address there is one reason why I called this episode The Passages and Pleasures of the Second Arrondissement. All of that kind of activity between men and women that we just talked about became legal thanks to Napoleon Bonaparte when he became emperor. All right, another passage. Oh, try not to get hit by that car. Thanks, Carol, for the congratulations. Okay, so look at this. It's called the Passage Sainte-Anne. Now don't get too excited for this one yet, because it's actually a side passage that is meant to access a larger one. Because you'll see that for a long, long time, the Passage Sainte-Anne has actually been shut down. It's been boarded up. These covered passages in the 19th century got so popular, but then the interest waned. And so there wasn't, today, in modern day, there really isn't enough interest, consumer interest, to keep these places all thriving. That's why this side passage is actually quite bland and there's nothing going on. But it gives us access to the Passage Choiseul. Let's take a look at this. This is the Passage Choiseul, and it's the longest passage that we have in Paris today. And you can see that beautiful, long expanse of skylight. This is the 1820s, just like the Colbert that we saw previously. Unlike a lot of the other covered passages that have survived to modern day, that tend to have more galleries and high-end fashion, the Choiseul here, where we are, is a much more workaday, everyday sort of every man's passage, so to speak, and every woman's passage. So it's eateries, it's shoe shops, it's a hair salon. Let me show you. We're actually going to turn around here and make our way through here. So this is 1827. Again, prototype of the shopping mall. Really exciting. I always feel like I'm getting a glimpse of old world Paris when I come through. Quite like these light fixtures. I have photographed these in the past, and let me see if I can just give you a little bit of meditation there. Lorraine says when she comes back to Paris, she wants to take the Covered Passages tour. All right, that sounds good to me. Let's book it up. Really nice light and really nice colors coming through here, right? The muted colors on my screen here are, quite pleasing. Look at the light. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. Just fantastic. Nothing beats Parisian light, I'll tell you that much. Here on the left, there's the back of a theater. And it's called the Bouffe Parisien, the Bouffe Parisien. And what happened here is there used to be famously, well, there still is a theater, but famously there used to be something called bouffe, les bouffes, which used to mean like an operatic performance for the average person. So let's show you the entrance here. So it was a bit of vaudeville, it was a bit of opera, it was a bit of musical performance, and there was a guy here who was very famous called Offenbach. He was a composer. Long story short, he debuts a show here called Orpheus in the Netherworld, and there is a musical number here as part of that show, and it's supposed to represent horses galloping at breakneck speed, and it went something like this. So I'm sure you recognize that. The cabarets, notably the Moulin Rouge, took that piece from this musical or from this opera, and they ran with it. So this building here, this theater, is where that famous Can-Can song started, thanks to Mr. Offenbach. Oh, look at this. Look at the eagle up there. Nice little unexpected detail. Speaking of the Can-Can, there are many theories about where that name comes from. My favorite, and the one that I choose to tell, is that the sound that the women would make when they would dance, they would be kind of silly, and they would make this sound that was kind of like a barking / quacking sound. So they would go con, 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 con. And that's one theory, at least, of where the Can-Can name comes from. Let me show you this. This is a shop. When anybody wants to see or get stationery and pens and notebooks and stuff, I always send them to this spot. Look at all these fancy pens and inks. And I got to show you this too that I really get a kick out of. If you can make it out, those larger glass containers there, they're actually taps of ink. So there are different types of inks, I guess, if you're really into using a quill and ink. And if you can make it out at the bottom of those containers, there are these little taps that you open up, those little gold taps. Just like it was water or beer or whatever else you'd have in a tap. And then what you do is you buy your fancy quill, or a set of quills, right? And you've got your little wallet protector. Those look like they're all made out of metal. So, real fancy stuff if you can make it out. I love these globes inside. Look at those globes. Oh, so good. So mark this one down for stationery, bags, accessories. Also some cool greeting cards here, unique greeting cards if you want to pick those up. Okay. And as we walk out, one more look at the Passage Choiseul. Here we go. Now, I don't think there is still today, but there used to be a hotel up above. So if you were wealthy enough, you'd get the window with the balcony looking out over the Passage. Okay. Here we go. If you exit the northern end of the Choiseul passage, there's an eatery that I quite like. It's so good that it's almost impossible to find a table here at lunchtime, called Les Bols de Jean. Bol meaning bowl. And so Jean is the owner here, the chef, and he creates bread bowls. I'm sure you know what a bread bowl is. And he fills it, well, here I can show you the photo. He fills them with all sorts of lovely things. So the locals nearby, when they get out of for lunch break, out of their offices, they will just pack this place. So those are the bowls. John's bowls, I guess, is how you translate that. Again, here's the northern entrance of the Passage de Choiseul. Oh, I didn't have enough coffee before this video to pronounce all these French words. Why do they put so many French words around here, by the way? It's almost like everything's French. It's ridiculous. Anyway, I haven't introduced myself yet. There are 231 of you watching right now, and I'm assuming 1 or 2 of you don't know who I am. So hello. People just randomly saying hello to me. Let's go selfie style for a sec, if I can manage to do it. Hi. So this is me, Corey Frye, a French Fry in Paris. I'm doing these every week for free, these live walks that are intend to put you on the streets of Paris in real time. I'm a full-time tour guide and photographer and writer and live streamer. So one thing, if you look in the description of this, because the replay will be here on Facebook after I finish the broadcast, you can become a Patreon member if you are so inclined. That gives you a lot of bonus stuff, including a PDF map of this walk and all the previous walks, so you can kind of create your own little travel notebook. And if you ever come to Paris, you'll have all of my PDFs with all of the locations that I mention on my videos, with the descriptions and the little captions of why it's interesting and the story that I told on the video. You'll also, if you become a Patreon member, you'll have access to where we're going to cross here. Sorry, the logistics, right, of figuring out how to cross the street and not get run over. Anyway, Patreon, you're going to get access to the cafe chats. After this video, I'm going to sit down and do a live broadcast, a separate broadcast, to talk with my subscribers and answer questions and have a chat and share a sort of vicarious coffee together as we watch the world go by from a sidewalk in Paris. You also get access to this guy just randomly laughing at me. That guy on the bike. Anyway, to wrap up, this is a long plug now, much too long. You can get access to cool rewards. So go to my Patreon site. If you pledge a monthly sort of subscription, then I will reward you with all sorts of various things, and it's all explained there. So check it out. It's called Patreon. The link is in the description here. So that was enough stalling to get us to this. They're putting in the new bike system. The new version of the Vélib, which, don't even get me started, is just such a catastrophe. But I got to show you something here at the edge of this building. You can start to see it right here. Do you see that? Really intense damage to the stones, because, as the plaque explains here, it was a bomb on the 30th of January 1918. So 1918, of course, the end of World War I. And you know, the two world wars affected Paris in two different ways. In the first one, they got bombed fairly good. And in the second one, they didn't get bombed so much, but they got invaded and occupied by the Nazis. So this is pretty impressive. Look at that, man. And when I first found this is just what I love about this city, that tangible history, so to speak. Ugh. And you know, it's pretty legit. Look at that. Whew. That's why a history textbook will never compare with a simple walk through Paris. If you know a little bit about what you're looking at, the history is all around you. Let me show you what else there is for damage here. C'est bon. This lady. Merci, c'est gentil. Hein? She was waiting for me to finish. C'est très gentil, merci. So here we go. Look at this. Now, perhaps appropriately, the cafe across the street, the restaurant, if you can make it out, it's called La Bombe. The Bomb. It's called The Bomb. So sometimes if you like a place, obviously you can call it The Bomb. Oh, that place is The Bomb. But this is actually The Bomb. And I'm pretty confident I know why they came up with that name. So there's one last spot I want to show you. Let's see how we're doing for time here. 30 minutes in, great. Can you make out the metro station across the street there? That's a station called 4 Septembre. This is a street called the Rue du 4 Septembre, the 4th of September. And people often ask me, like, what's the big deal about the 4th of September? Why is there a street named after it and a metro station named after it? It's because Napoleon III, after the Franco-Prussian War debacle, he was essentially taken out of power, taken down. And that was the 4th of September when there was that regime change. And so they like to commemorate that here. Again, second arrondissement here. Very local, not very touristy, not many museums or monuments, which makes it great because that means all the treasures that you find are hidden treasures. And of course, that's what we're always after. I want to go give a quick shout out, and these people didn't ask me to give a shout out, but they're just on my mind because they're so lovely and they were such great clients. So I want to say hello to Cheryl and Jamie Pansino. I hope you're doing well. Cheryl and Jamie live on the West Coast, so they tend to watch me early in the morning, sometimes still in bed in their PJs. So I don't know if that's the case right now, ladies, but I just wanted to say I'm thinking of you and thank you for being such great supporters and for being so lovely when you came here and visited me in Paris and took my tours. So hello to Cheryl and Jamie. Hope you're doing well. That's my shout out for this episode. Okay, there we go. Okay, we're almost to the last stop here. We'll wrap things up, and then for my Patreon subscribers, you will pop over to our private cafe chat group, and we'll have a talk. Have a talk and a drink, and hopefully something sweet. Fernanda is watching from Mexico. I love it. Hello from Mexico. That's exciting. I love that. I love that. Love that. Okay, so this is a square that I'm going to try to stand in the middle of. Sacrifice my body for this video today. So we're on the Rue Gaillon, and this is quite a beauty. This is an old restaurant, if you can make that out, with a beautiful sort of light gray and beige motif. It's called Drouin. And Drouin, it says right here on the corner, look at that, just look at that. Oh, so good. Almost feels like you could be in Vienna or Prague or something. It's been around a while, so they advertise on the corner here, 1903 to 2003. And all these signatures of dignitaries, I admit I don't recognize too many of these names, so I wonder if they're chefs, are they literary people? But it seems like they are going for a literary vibe because they've got panels like this, if you can make that out. For any of you who are looking to practice your French reading, go for it. I don't even think I could make out what's going on there. But let me pan around because I quite like this square. It's pretty cozy, even though this area has a lot of wide boulevards. Because look at this building. This is a restaurant called La Fontaine Gaillon. Let's just stop there for a composition, right? That blue sky. Ooh. Kathleen's in the Philippines. Wow, I got people from the Philippines, Mexico. This is fantastic. That really keeps me motivated. So look at this. Look at this restaurant. It's closed today, but just stunning. How spoiled are we here in Paris that we can eat in spaces like this? Let's enter. So of course these tables will all be set out here probably on Monday. But look at this little guy. I don't know what that sea creature did to that little cherub, but he's not happy about it. He's going for it. Going right for the noggin. Wow. So lovely. And you know, you could come to Paris a dozen times and never find this little square. And I'm a little bit of a broken record, but that's what I love about this city. I will always love that about this city. That's the same restaurant we were looking at earlier with a street lamp. Just real classy stuff. Again, if you're a Patreon member of $10 or more per month, you're going to get a PDF map of this and know exactly where this is and get a reminder of what we talked about here and why I think it's important, why I think it's special. So we're going to finish here. Hope you enjoyed this one, everybody. For my Patreon people, head over to our private Facebook group and we'll have a live chat. I'll find a nice cafe around here somewhere and we'll check in with each other. All right, so thank you so much for joining. Remember, you can come back next weekend for another live video. It'll be episode number 24. Free, live in real time to put you on the streets. And the idea is if you can't bring yourself to Paris, I'm going to keep bringing Paris to you. Thanks for all the hearts and the thumbs up, everybody. Thanks for sharing this with your friends. If you missed any of this video, the replay is going to be on my Facebook page immediately. So you can go back and watch it. You can share it with people. You can also go on YouTube. In a few days' time, I'll post it up to my YouTube channel. So there's all kinds of stuff. My Instagram, my photography, all that. So have a good one, everybody. Enjoy your weekend. Thanks so much for the support. Thanks for joining me along when I go on these little excursions, and I will see you for the next one. Take care. All the best.